The issue of asbestos use in America and its impact on lung cancer, other illnesses, death is one of the more challenging and gut-wrenching I have found in my time in Congress. I have the privilege to represent part of Madison County, Illinois, and that's my home county. So I know a thing or two about asbestos and the disease it causes. In 2014, 1,500 asbestos lawsuits were filed in Madison County, or more than a quarter of all asbestos cases filed nationally. When I've gone door to door to visit my constituents, I see them in their oxygen machines laboring to live, and I'm aware of the struggle, and it is real. Preventing asbestos-related disease is one of the main reasons I and others came together to enact reforms to the Toxic Substances Control Act. This law directed EPA using high-quality science to identify high-risk chemicals and prioritize them, review those chemicals and the risk, otherwise known as a moment where hazard and exposure intersect, and regulate the ones that present an unreasonable risk to health or the environment. I felt good that we had enacted a process that was objective and risk and science-based, that was drafted to be agnostic as to who was implementing it, and the EPA would have little trouble using very broad authority to carry out the requirements. We didn't single out any chemical by name in that bill, including the use of the word asbestos, but we were all conscious of ensuring that EPA could act on it. And as I and others expected, EPA is doing just that. For the first time ever, preventing lapsed asbestos uses from coming back into the market and reassessing current uses concerning their unreasonable risk and preparing to take any necessary action to reduce and remove those risks. I know, Mr. Chairman, that moving the TSCA bill was a tough process, which you were involved with, but and had concerns with the preemptive provisions. But this is precisely what the majority of both Democrats and Republicans on this committee supported on the House floor. I guess I'm trying to say that I'm a bit frustrated as to why we're having a legislative hearing on banning asbestos before we have had an oversight hearing to demonstrate that the EPA is failing on their technical aspects of the law in its review, missing deadlines, or some other such failing. I know my friend and full committee chairman, Chairman Frank Pallone, has on more than one occasion proclaimed he does not have faith in the professionals at EPA to carry out high-quality review and act the way he would prefer on asbestos. I would respond in two ways. First, under TSCA, EPA has a legal duty to support any decision on existing uses of asbestos with substantial evidence based on objective scientific review. So EPA cannot go into a chemical review with a predetermined outcome if it wants to avoid litigation. Let me say that again, because EPA cannot go into a chemical review with a predetermined outcome if it wants to avoid litigation. Second, let's be honest here, if there were a Democrat in the White House right now, my Democrat colleagues would be very critical of me trying to overturn one of the first existing chemical reviews less than 3 years after its enactment. That is why I have sympathy for at least letting EPA do its work before legislatively rejecting it. I understand the proponents want certainty on this issue. I'm also sympathetic to those concerns. Because of the nature of this place, and unlike EPA, we are much less likely to have the time to consider or otherwise be able to know all the impacts a ban would have directly or indirectly on all Americans, particularly without the benefit of an oversight hearing. Multiple Super Bowl champion coach Bill Belichick preaches to his players, trust the process when preparing for challenges of a season. This formula has been successful for him, and I do believe it would be successful in TSCA. There may be a need to move a bill to address the manufacturing, import, processing, and commercial distribution of asbestos. But before learning more, though, I am not convinced that that time is now. I join the chairman in welcoming our witnesses today. I want to thank them for their sacrifice they made to be here with us, and I look forward to learning more from you all. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back my time.